Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. The weekend is finally upon us, and we're kicking it off with another Inkarnate live stream. Now, today we're going to be finishing up our Parchment World map series in part 9. In part 8, we focused on just generally creating a starting area, what POIs to use, how to connect them with roads via the line tool, and then how to assign a legend. In this episode, we're going to be going a little bit more in depth into those things. We're going to be covering lore. How is it that I tackle lore? How do I do naming conventions? We're going to be making our own custom points of interest using the shape and line tools. And we're also going to be adding the rest of the points of interest, assigning a legend. We're going to create a frame with the shape tool. We're going to create a title plate, or what's more commonly known as what's called a cartouche. And then we're also going to add filters to give us that last bit of polish on the map. So I'm excited about that. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. Hey, Alice. Hey, Typer0. Glad that you are both here. So as you can already see, I already kind of added some labels to the map right here just to kind of give a name to each one of my continents. And the way that I usually go about doing this is pretty simple. I'll just use a naming generator. I don't generally like a lot of the default stuff that the naming generator spit out. So once it gives me a name, I'll generally edit it a little bit to work more to what I like. So that way you just gives yourself less work by just using a naming generator, and then you can just rename it or change the spelling, whatever you might be. So I kind of find that to be the most helpful for naming conventions, especially if you have a lot of locations and you want to label them all. It can be hard to come up with an individual name for each one. So the naming generator is incredibly helpful. So let's go ahead and cover lore. I want to talk a little bit like how exactly that I come about. I come to doing my lore, and it's pretty simple. First, I'll come up with a name for the location. And then once I've come up with the name, I'll give a little blurb. I'm sure you know what a blurb is. It's just a very brief kind of description of the continent. And then that way I have these kind of bones that I can kind of expand upon, right? It's kind of hard, especially if you're not like a writer. It'd be kind of difficult to come up with a rich lore. And so if you start with blurbs first, then you can expand upon those blurbs. So for instance, I have this location right down here called Dreckmeyer. And what I did is I came up with the name. I had my little blurb here. And then what I did is there were two really biomes that kind of stuck out. And so I gave each one of those a name. And then I gave a little blurb to those. And just like before, now that I have a name and a blurb, I can now expand off of that. For instance, we have the Ashen Rift. It's a volcanic wasteland split by fires of river, where fire clans forge living weapons from bubbling magma. And so the way that I would expand upon that is maybe that they worship some kind of fire god, and maybe they go through like this baptism of fire ritual where they get branded and they give fealty to the lords of the molten goddess or whatever it might be. And so once you have a little blurb, it's easier to start expanding upon that. So are we not getting any audio here? Oopsie. You might want to turn your volume up. I'm seeing that my audio is on. Let me check here. Let me see if my mute. Yep, my audio is on. I'm sorry. You guys still hear me over here? Anyone else having trouble besides Typher, let me know in the chat here. Audio's fine. It might be you then, Typher. Sorry about that. Try turning your volume up a little bit. That could be it. Okay, so, and I also have other locations like the Black Mire. It's a corrupted swamp filled with noxious gases, twisted by beasts that hunt in the night, hunt in the dark of night with near perfect silence. And then from there, I can expand upon that, right? Maybe I want to go into the lore of these creatures. What was their origin story? How did the corrupted swamps get filled with noxious gas? Was it something else before that? Right? So if you have a blurb, it's just so much easier to expand upon that blurb instead of trying to write this really rich lore just right off the bat. Start small and expand upon that. Okay, that's the best way that I can think of to kind of do lore without having to do all this extra work. So lore is not complex. It's pretty easy once you kind of just get the bare bones. It's so much easier to come up with the blurb and then expand. Okay, I don't want to beat that dead horse. So from here, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make capital points of interest. So in the last episode, we talked about picking a style that you want for the POIs and then how you want to apply that to the map. And what I want to do is, because I have these beautiful biomes, I don't want too many locations to kind of screw up the beauty of the landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the points of interest all be symbols besides my capitals. And I'll have my capitals labeled and the rest of the points of interest won't be labeled. And I'm going to use these symbols and a legend. And the reason why I'm going to doing that is because I want to make something unique for my capitals while also not having so many labels that it kind of hides up all my beautiful landscape, because I do like the way that the landscape turned out and I really don't want to hide that. That's something that's going to be important. Like if you have like 100 locations on your map and you're labeling every single one of them, you're going to run into this problem of labels starting to mask and cover up a lot of your beautiful landscape. So when you're labeling, maybe consider only labeling the most important locations, like a capital or a city that the players have to go to next or whatever like that. Because again, you just don't want to clutter up your map with all this text. And I see this happen a lot, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I wouldn't say it's a don't do it, but it does to me, in my mind, kind of ruin some of the landscape. And I really want to take in people's beautiful terrain that they've created. So first, I'll show you how exactly I would make up a specialized point of interest. I'm going to use the shape tool to do this. And I already have some recently used shapes here, but I'm using this kind of brown-like color stroke. You see the color here. And then I'm using this fill type texture, which is right from the Parchment style. If I go in, you'll notice it's the Parchment style here. And what I'll do first is I'm going to use a circle like this. If you hold down, let me undo that real quick. If you hold down Control and the Start key, at least this for a Mac, it might be Alt for a Windows, I'm not sure. But if I hold down those two keys, what will happen is it'll make a perfect circle, and it will make it drag from the center, the starting point, instead of doing this where it's not. So if I hold down Control, you'll notice that I'll be able to center, but then when I hold down Start or Alt, it will make the perfect circle. So we want to have that perfect circle. That's going to be important. Now, when you're making your POI, I recommend that you make it big first so that way you can edit it more easily. So I'm going to start by making a circle first. I'm going to make it fairly large because we're going to scale it down. Whenever you're making your own custom asset or whatever it might be, you always start large first and then you'll scale it down. This makes it so much easier to edit and stuff like that. So I'll start with a circle. And then from here, I'm going to try to create about a half circle or a little bit bigger than that. I'll go back to the square, go to subtract. Make sure that the merge shape is on. So I'll go to add here, make sure merge is on. Perfect. Go back to subtract. And I'm just going to go ahead and hide a little bit of the circle here. So I'm kind of creating this, not really a 3/4 circle or half circle, but very close to that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some special things inside of here. I'm going to copy and paste that. It looks like these are all set to a lower opacity, so why don't we fix that? There we go. They're set to 100%, much better. With this second one that I just copy and pasted, I'm going to remove the stroke as I no longer need it, and I'm going to change my fill with an alpha texture called waves. It's right here. Now, if you have a hard time seeing the names of things, right up here in that hamburger menu, you'll see show names, and then all the names are pop up. So I'm going to use these wave texture right here because I kind of like this texture right here. And what I'll do is I'm just going to scale it down just a hair like this. So there's a little bit of an outline on the outside there. I'm also going to bring the opacity down a little bit. There we go. So now I have this nice kind of design right here. I'm going to create another shape. Oopsie, undo that. I had that one selected. That was a mistake. And I'm going to create another shape, a rectangle that's going to be the placeholder for the title. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and place it like this. Oop, that's set to subtract. Let me go to the add mode here. About there, looks good. Let's go switch to the right one, right there like that. See, the opacity is down, my mistake. I'm going to go ahead and place that right there like that. That's where my title is going to be. And then from there, I can go ahead and take the whole thing and I can just copy. I'm going to go ahead and group it. And we're going to call it capital POI. I'm not adding anything to it yet because I want to keep these because I'm going to have multiple capitals. So I'll put one here. I'm going to copy and paste, move it over to here like this. And then I'll go ahead. I'm going to open up that group and I'm going to choose a stamp that I brought to represent a capital. I think this one right here is a nice stamp right here. I'll just kind of place it. I'll even have it kind of overlap just a little bit. So I want that tower to overlap outside of the circle there. And I'm going to bring this up a layer. There we go. There we go. Now I have this nice capital structure here. Let's maybe bring that down and then we'll put this here. Let's put it right about there. There we go. That looks good. Want some overlap? There we go. So now I have kind of that first capital. Now, just so you know, these stamps have what's called a clipping mask. So if I place this over here, even I put it all the way up on layer +5, you'll notice that I'm picking up the textures that are underneath. So I picked up that green, I picked up that brown there. You'll see I pick up purple, that pink there. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. But because here's the cool thing, because we put a little half circle behind it, we can paint it without too much trouble. So let me give you an example. So if I go right here like this, and I have that capital now, and I want to place it somewhere, like maybe I want to put a capital like right there, okay? And then from here, I can go in and pick a texture of my choice. Maybe I just want to use a simple parchment color right here. And then I can bring the brush just real small, turn off that softness as you won't need it, and then just go in with BG. And I'm just going to paint in that part. It's the outside that's going to be the most difficult part. And then from there, you can bring that brush size up a little bit and then start painting in on top of that, just whatever color that you want to use. I'm going with white or this kind of off shell or off eggshell white. I'm using this color because it pops out so well. So now I take a step back and you can kind of see the capital. And so I have that nice capital piece just right there available to me. And so what I'll do is I'll probably make a couple of them, right? Let's copy and paste. I'll make sure that I got the scale right. Let's see here. It goes to about scale, right about there, 30. Perfect. Okay. And so I'll go ahead and choose maybe a different icon. I'll open up that one, go back to another one. Let's see here. What's this one called? Let's try a human one instead. 1 second. Let me go to expand all assets. Or I can just type in human. Ah, yeah, this is good. Let's go with this one right here. This kind of has a very capital kind of look to it. Let's put it right about there. That looks good. I'm going to bring that all the way up. And with this one, I think I might stretch it a little bit to where it's kind of sticking out just a hair at the top because I do like that overlap. That looks so nice when you do a little bit of overlap there. There we go. I think that looks good. And then I'll go ahead and I'll scale it back down to about 30%. And then I'll kind of move it to the next location where I want it. I know I want to put maybe a capital right here. And then I'll go back over that with that brush like this, and then go have that nice white texture like that. There you go. So kind of cool, kind of easy to make your own custom POIs. I kind of like this style. This half circle is kind of an interesting element to it. Having the POI overlap that arch at the top there is kind of a nice little trick there. And then it kind of rests on a banner, the POI. And so it all kind of comes together. Well, at least I think so. There we go. We got that one done. Let's go ahead and keep making a couple more. There should be 1 or 2 to each island. The bigger one can probably have more than one because there'll probably be multiple either empires or republics or whatever it might be. Like I've got one here, but we could probably add another one like over here, one over here. And then for these smaller ones, probably just one. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and bring this all the way up to the highest layer so I don't have to deal with that again. And then this time, let's maybe make an orc one. Where do I find that orc capital? I think this one right here is an orc capital. Is there other ones? Let me check. I think, let's see here. That seems to be the biggest one. Let's go with that one. There we go. That looks good. And then there's no overlap on this one. So why don't we could put maybe like a tower like that in the background. We could do that, or maybe put the tower off to the side like this. There'd be a little bit more shadow work or a little bit more painting to do, but I think this kind of looks okay. There are other tricks that you could do. You could turn off, by the way, turn off the clipping mask and then just fill it with the shape tool. You could do that too. I mean, that works just fine. It's going to be a little more meticulous. It'll take a little bit more time, but I think that would work as well. Let's go over to 30% here, and I'll go ahead and put, let's go move the orc one maybe over to here. And why don't we move it in this nice flat ground? It's just right there. I think that looks kind of nice. Make sure this is also at +5. There we go. That looks good there. Oops, yeah, I'll replace that. And then I'll go over the other one with that white. Again, one moment while I go over that. There we go. About size 2 works fine. Let's go in here. You could paint it another color too, like maybe you want it to be red or whatever it might be. But I'm just going with white just for some continuity with the color scheme. There we go. All right, we have another capital set up. So we're making a lot of them here. Okay, let's go just keep making several more here. There should be maybe 2 more on this island, 1 on this island here. Okay, let's make sure we put this up on the right layer as well. Let's open it up. I think we've done elven, human. Let's maybe do a dwarven one. Okay. If I can spell correctly. There we go. Let's see here. Is this one? I think this one is the capital. This will work just fine. Let's go with this one. That looks good. Okay. And you know what? Every single one of them has some kind of overlap. So let's say maybe have it to where this one doesn't have any overlap whatsoever. So I think that would be kind of good. We'll push it down to about 30%. And then we'll kind of put a nice little dwarven. I think since it's dwarven, what we should do is place it probably right above some mountains. And there's some water by those mountains. So that's a very good location for that. Let's go ahead and make 1 or 2 more. All right. Hey, first time chatter, by the way. Got no name. Glad that you are here. And I'm glad that you're making it for a stream. So welcome. Yeah, let's keep making a couple more. I think we've done all the races ones. So let's maybe go with some different ones. Let's maybe try. Let me take a look at what we got here. There should be some other ones, like maybe we could take a temple. Oh, wait, there's this one right here. This one is kind of nice. Did I already use that one for this one here? No, I didn't. Awesome. Let's use this one. This is pretty nice. I like that. Let's place that. And then I will have it overlap again because I really do like that overlap. That's really, really quite helpful. Just a little bit, just like that. And instead of having it perfectly centered, I could move it a little bit to the left or to the right. A lot of them are perfectly centered, but you could move it just a little bit to either side just to create this little offset, and that could make it look a little more interesting. Let's go ahead and bring that down to 30%. There we go. Super cool that you can kind of make your own points of interest with the shape and line tools. I personally really, really like that. Let's see here. We'll put it some distance away from that one. So we'll put one, maybe a capital just like right here would look good. And then let's go ahead and make, let's make 1 more capital. We're going to make 1 more. I think that would be a good idea. And then we'll go ahead and move on to doing the other POIs, the symbols, the labels, all that stuff. So we'll get into that as well. Let's see here. I think I saw some other human ones that might work well. Let me take a look here. This one right here might work okay. It's a little small, but what you could do is you could, to make it a little bit bigger, you could add like a tower to it, and that would make it a little bit more interesting. Oopsie, I didn't mean to move that. My mistake. Keep that nice little effect in there. Let's maybe move this over just a little bit like this, and then we have this kind of tower in the background there, and I think that would be a nice little touch. I'm not even going to worry about overlap this time. Okay, and that should be the last POI, and I'll put that just right over here like this. Okay, cool. All right, so now we have these capitals. And now that you have capitals set, what's really nice is that you can now connect them with roads, and in between the roads, in between those capitals along that road, you can start adding in your points of interest. So here's how I generally go about doing it. What I'll end up doing is I'll take a line, and I'm just going to choose this dash or this dotted white line. I'm going to apply it real quick to see what it looks like. just to see, like, does it stick out very well? First of all, it's on layer -5. Why don't we put it on layer 0? Let's bring the opacity up, and let's maybe bring the size up, because what I want is I want to be able to see the roads. I'm going to use white because, one, it's a neutral color, and it's going to pop out on any texture beneath it. And also, my POIs are also painted white, so it only makes sense that maybe I should do that as well. Now, I did forget to paint a couple. For instance, I should paint this one just real quick. I shouldn't forget to do all that. Let me paint these. Only just takes a couple seconds. Thankfully, it doesn't take too long. This would be so much more meticulous trying to paint these without that half circle background. So I can tell you right now that is very, very helpful, that circular background. Otherwise, you'd be painting like this, just very carefully. Here, you can just take nice, reckless, wide strokes. You know, and that's nice. That makes it a lot easier, right? Okay, and there should be one more over here. And let's go ahead and paint that one. There we go. Cool. All right. Nice. Okay, let's go ahead and connect all of these together, and then we'll start putting some POIs on top of that. So I got that line tool. Now, when you're making a road, you don't want to create a straight line, by the way. You don't want to have it go like this. And the reason why is because there's generally changes in elevation, there's things in the way, and so your roads are going to look a lot more like a river with these meanders and stuff. So when you're putting it on in here like that, what you'll want to do is your roads are going to look something like this. You're going to create these meanders, go through, make sure to go behind some mountains, by the way, because that's going to look nice. So when you connect it, you have some depth here. Now that mountain, with that path behind that mountain, it's starting to create this illusion of depth and height. See right here how the road is behind it? That makes it look like there's some depth going on. So it's always nice to, once in a while, have your road go behind a mountain, a hill, some trees. That way you can get that sense of depth. Hey, Tomato Tea. Glad that you're here, by the way, first time chatter. So we connected that one. Let's do this one. And we'll go ahead and just kind of have it zigzag its way through here like this. And if you start to get kind of lost, you can always stop and just kind of reconnect like this. And you can always, if you feel like it gets disconnected, you can always move the path. But sometimes I run out of space, and so I'll just continue the path like this, and we'll have it kind of rope-a-dope around a little bit. Go this way, and then connect there like that. So now you have these nice roads that connect, and this right here can be called like the King's Road or the main road or the Beltway or whatever it might be, because that's the main route that connects all of the major points of interest. And then you can branch off of those routes, off of that main route, branching off to all the other points of interest. Now, if you don't have any other capitals, notice that I only have three. I have 3 capitals on this right here, but I only have 1 capital here. That's okay. What you'll want to do in that case is just apply the points of interest. So what I'll do there is I'll go to the shape tool. I'm going to use these shapes right here. We have a circle, we have a diamond, squares. We have all of these shapes right here that we can kind of work with, okay? And these are going to be helpful. So what we want to do is we want to assign each one of these a specific thing. So like a simple circle could be a village. A simple square could be a city. A triangle can be like a city. And then maybe you have some other things like maybe a shrine or a tower or whatever, and you have those icons there. So for now, what I'll do is I think I'll just stick with the basics, the village, the city, or the village, the town, the city. The capitals are already done. What I'll want to do first is set a scale for them. We'll go, I think that scale works fine, and I'm just going to copy and paste these. So I'll put 3 right here like this. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste, and I'll start with a smaller island first. And so we'll create some locations. Like some great locations are going to be along coastlines, because that's where a food source is. That's where water is. You can boil water. You can go do the fishing. Humans and other species always find the most life along coastlines near bodies of water. So if you're ever wondering where should I put my cities, my towns and stuff like that, they're going to be along coastlines because that is where they're going to be able to do commerce, boats and ships. They're going to do sailing. They're going to be able to catch fish. All of that stuff is very helpful. So what I'll do is I'll place a couple villages on the island, like one on that edge there, one on this little island, maybe one next to this water source. Remember, they're next to water sources. So let's put one there. Let's maybe put one along this coast here, especially close to another island that's next to it, so that way you have two locations that can act as ports to travel from one location to the other. So those are kind of important. So let's go ahead and add the rest of the villages. Let's put a village next to this water source right here. Let's maybe put one on this island here. Let's put some next to this capital. You would kind of expect other settlements to be nested closely to the capital so that way they can travel. Maybe they work in the capital. Maybe they commute to their traveling or whatever they might be. So having villages, towns, or whatever next to a capital is super important. Don't forget to also place them along the road as well. And because these have clipping masks, you can just cover up the location. Now, isn't that nice? You don't have to worry about using the portal or anything. Just make sure that it's up a layer and then just go ahead and place it wherever you want. And of course, I'm always going to place it, a lot of them along the path there. Not every single one of them is going to be a village. I want to make sure that I also throw in other things as well. Let's put in maybe a village along the route here. Let's maybe put a couple connected close to this capital here, like we said. Let's put a couple by the capital here, one along that coastline. Remember, let's put one over by this water source here. Let's put a couple, one along this coastline, and then right here is a nice one. And then maybe right here, because these two can connect to each other. I think that looks good. That's enough villages for now. Let's go on to this side. Remember, a bunch of villages by the main point here. Let's put one along this river right here. It's a very common place where you'll find settlements is along rivers. Let's put a village maybe also along this water source here. Let's put one here. Let's not put any villages here. This place is kind of like a scary place. So if I am going to put one, maybe put it along the border. This little village before you go into that crystal plateau there. It seems like an unhospitable place right here. So we'll just put one village just kind of right here away from it. And then we have this kind of whale carcass that's kind of controlled by a cult, and they're using dark magic to keep the corpse from completely rotting and kind of acts as like a temple. So we'll put one maybe just like right here, like that. Oh, I see some little ones that I put right here as well. There we go. These are a little big, but I think they're okay. I wanted to be somewhat noticeable. Let's select all from the set and just make them just a little bit smaller. Let's maybe go with, ooh, I don't know if it's selected them all. Let me go select all from the set. There we go. Let's go down to, let's say, I think 35 should be good. Let's go there, 34, 35. That's about the right size. That looks good. And then we'll add in our last bit of villages. Let's go, not next to this crazy place right here, but next to here, there probably should be a bunch of orc villages, like orc tribal villages. So let's go ahead and put some all along here. We got some nice villages. And then we'll put one maybe on this island right here. That looks good. Yeah, I do like these POI markers. They look awesome. And there's so many different styles and different ways that you can make these. I did a little research online, and there's so many cool, unique styles of making points of interest. So maybe we can go into a masterclass and we can maybe do a little challenge, make like 20 of them in one session and just see how many we can come up with, because they are fun and I love that little stuff. As an artist, I love making little points of interest. I love making all that kind of stuff, making my own legends, making my own scales and frames. All of that stuff is super, super fun, especially when you start getting the hang of it. Okay, so I think I have most of the locations put down for that. Why don't we go to the next one? We want to add, I believe it was a square for a town. So I'll go ahead and make this town just a little bit bigger, just to show that the town is bigger. So I'll make the POI slightly bigger. and I'll put one there. I'll put a town right next to there. Let's put another town on the road there. Let's maybe put a town like right over here somewhere. And then, maybe let's put a town on these rocks right here. That looks like a nice one. And then I do want to have a town up here in this snowy region because it's always nice to have some kind of civilization on your map that kind of has like a frigid like lore. And so I think that'll be nice. This little open space right here looks nice, so I can do that. Other good places to put it on top of things, for instance, like maybe you want to put a location on top of a hill or something like that. Like you can put one on top of a hill like that. I think that always looks kind of nice. Lots of good locations that you can do. I'm the king of POI. Let's go ahead and add a town in there. Let's put one here in this area. No towns over there. No towns over there as well. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. How rude. Oh, I like this little area right here. This is kind of cool. Let's maybe put a town there. Let's go put a town just right on the edge of this desert here. And then another town on the edge of the desert there. Let's go and put a town here. No towns on this island. I don't think that will be necessary. Let's put a town right there. And then we'll move on to city. And I'll make it just slightly bigger. Let's go ahead and put some cities on here. A city there. A city there. Let's put a random city just kind of over here. Here. Let's see here. Let's put one over in this corner up here. I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and add a couple more. Let's put one. Let's go to over here. Let's put a city like right over here by these salt pans right here. I kind of like that. Let's put a city right there. Let's see here. Let me take a step back. And let's put a city right there. And then we'll put a city right over here. Let's have it right up against the rocks on the coastline, like right there. There we go. Okay. And then from here, you're going to connect them all. And it's not too complex how you do that, right? What I would do when you're connecting them, don't just have it randomly branch off. I mean, you can do that, but what makes more sense is that when you go from one city to the next, the path starts at a city, right? So since I have this city right here, or this capital, let's have it branch off and then make its way from here, right? And then what's also cool is that you can also connect to. So let's have these 2 points kind of connect right here like that. And so now I have alternate routes, which is very, very helpful. I find having alternate routes makes it more realistic. So I think that's a nice choice there. Let's keep going here. We got some location here. Let's have it branch off just right here, I think should be okay. And then we'll have it go along the river and then connect right there. And we can even create a little loop right here like that. And you know what I like to do is I like to put a little cluster of trees inside of the loop, which I think is always kind of nice. So if I just place a little bit of trees just right there in that loop, I think that always just kind of looks really nice when you do that. Go ahead and keep going. I see there's a POI down here, so let's have that go along the coastline as you would expect, right? It's a great location to add roads along coastlines, have it cross, have it go travel along the coast until it finally makes its way right there. That looks good. You could also do the same thing here. Let's have this city maybe cross and then go through here so you have this nice location to explore now. We'll have it go around this ledge and follow the coastline right over to here. That looks good. Let me take a step back. You can kind of see where we're going. So you can see the POIs, you can see the roads connecting them. So that all looks good. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep connecting them all, keep adding more stuff. I see another route right here. Why don't we go ahead and have it along here? There seems to be a little bit of like a salt, some kind of like, kind of looks like a wasteland right there. And so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to put a road through there, because it's not generally a safe place to travel. So I won't put a road through there. It doesn't mean that your players can't travel there, but it does convey a message to the players. There's not a road going through there, so it must be a dangerous location, right? You can kind of do that. So let's go ahead and have another route that kind of connects through here. Let's go ahead and put it behind the mountain so I get that overlap. And then we'll make sure to connect this back into here. And you know what? I'll go ahead and take that town right here and just kind of put it right there on the road. Same thing, I'll go ahead and connect these together. And then since this route is here, why don't we have that route also connect to here like this? So I'll go like that and have that kind of connect. There we go. That looks good. And the location right here, why don't we connect that? So we'll go here like this. We'll have it cross a river. Don't forget to add a little bit of curve. Don't have it be perfectly straight. Through there, that looks good. I see another location right here. Why don't we kind of travel through in between these mountains? Just remember, don't go underneath of a hill like that. You see what I mean? Make sure that when you do add it, you do want to avoid hills and mountains and stuff for the most part. You can do the overlap thing, but just kind of remember not to go straight through a hill or a mountain. And I'll do that overlap right there, have it cross the river, and then go to that location. Perfect. We do the same thing here. Maybe we want to go ahead and connect these. So let's connect that one. In fact, since there's clipping masks, I can probably just, I don't even have to stop. I can just go right over it like this. There we go. That looks good. Let's connect this one. And since these two are so close together, we should probably connect that one as well. We'll create a little loop that goes there. Looks good. Keep going. Let's put another road right here that connects to that. And then that will connect through here and kind of go through this nice little area, go through the mountains here, and then kind of connect that. Let me take a step back, just see where we're at here. Looks good. Let's go ahead and create a route that goes through the desert, as you would expect. Kind of connecting this one. There we go. That looks good. Make sure I didn't miss any other locations here. It does look like there's one up there, so why don't we connect that? Let's have it cross through the river, go in between these two rocks, travel through here, and then they connect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check to make sure there's not any other locations that I missed. I want to make sure that most of them are connected, unless you don't want them to be connected because maybe you have a good reason, right? Maybe you want to have it convey a message to the players that this is an important location or whatnot, right? Okay, so I think we've connected all the locations on this one, so we can just kind of switch over to the other. We'll add the rest of those paths there, and then we'll continue adding in a frame, a legend, a title, or what's called a cartouche, and then we'll add those fillers, add in those filters for that extra polish, which I'm excited about. Okay, let's go ahead and connect those roads. We'll start at the capital, and we'll have it kind of wind its way through this scary kind of pit right here. I think that would be kind of cool, so players kind of have to make their way through this little section right here. I think that's kind of nice. Let's also connect this here, and then let's also connect this way here through here like this. And you could have two routes, like maybe there's another route that actually goes through the mountains and then follows through like a river that kind of connects that way. So nice little connection there. Let's connect these two. There we go. I see one up there. Let's have it go through this nice little valley of dunes here up to this location. And then ones that are on the island, like right here, you don't have to create a route at all if you don't want to. That's up to you. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That's up to you, but I'll usually create a little route that goes through here. You can have it go across the water if you want. That's up to you. Okay, there's only one location right here, so I won't even bother unless I just want to put maybe just one little town on there. Let's do that, just so that I can kind of connect them. Let's put it right next to that body of water there, as you would kind of expect, right? There's a body of water there, fresh water. Let's connect those. Let's connect the capital. I'm going to have these really close to each other because it's like a series of tribes that kind of work together or don't work together. Maybe they're fighting amongst each other all the time. Let's go ahead and connect this one. Just remember to do that little windy thing. Connect to there. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Let me just take a step back and make sure it all looks good. Yep, good. We're almost there. Just a couple more roads, and then we will continue on to the next step. Not complex stuff. And I'm not going to label every location. Remember, I mentioned earlier that there's just kind of this problem that arises when you label too much. It starts to hide the landscape, like I mentioned earlier. And so I'm going to go with that approach. My focus will be more on the landscape. And instead of having every single location being labeled, it's more work. And also, again, it just kind of hides the beauty of the map. So we will not be labeling anything except for the capitals. You know what? Because that's there, we could have this route around like this and then connect back into this village right here. And I see a road down there. Let's have it go through. And I see a lot of marshland, a lot of weird stuff. So let's really, really make it very windy when we go through here. Right through that little opening there in the mountains. That looks good. There's another one right here. Let's go ahead and hit it behind it, and we'll create the road right along the river. That happens a lot, where a road will be built right along a river, so that way you already have a clear route from one point to the other. One thing I am noticing about that path, though, is it is a layer too high. There we go. That will make sure that that stays that way. Let me see if any other locations. There's one up there. Let's have that be a dangerous kind of travel to kind of go through this area to kind of get through it, to get to it. That will leave a sense of wonderment and curiosity for the players, which I think is kind of nice. I see some old POIs that I put on here last time we worked on the map. Let's go ahead and remove those. And let's go ahead and have this POI kind of connect with that. There we go. All right. So I think we've connected the majority of stuff. Let me just kind of double check here. It kind of looks like the majority of it got covered from what I can tell. Yeah, I think so. Everything got covered. We do a quick little review, make sure everything is set up. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and save it. And then we'll go on to making the legend, which shouldn't be too difficult because there's only 4 types of POIs. There's a capital, there's the town, village, city. And so we won't have to do much for it. When you are making a legend, I'm sure I mentioned this, just make sure you put it in a location that isn't going to hide any bit of the map, if that makes any sense. So let me put a legend down real quick. You can kind of see it. You don't want to have a legend like right there, right? The good places for legends are like in the corners, especially if there's open space, like the legend would do very well there. You could rotate it on its side, 90 degrees, and put it up here or here. You could even put a legend in the center there if you wish. So wherever there is generally what's called negative space, and when I say negative space, define my terms a little bit. Negative space is anywhere there's ocean. Okay, that's what I mean by negative space. And I think the best location for a legend is really right here. That would work well. Or this one. And really, this just depends. The orientation depends on the room that you have and how many points of interest you have. Because I have a very few number of points of interests, I could use either orientation, or horizontal or vertical. Both work just fine. So I will stick with that corner. That's going to do good. And then from here, I'll just go ahead and select, copy and paste any one of these. And I'll go ahead and remove the, oopsie, not that. I'm going to remove the castle. Because each capital has a unique shape to it. So if I just use this by itself without the actual picture on it, then it will become clear that that is means a particular POI. So I'll add that there. Let's go ahead and click this. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger so that way they are kind of visible. So I'll put one here. Oopsie, make sure that it's on the right layer there. There's our village. That looks like our city. And this is our town. Okay, so we'll go ahead and bring the scale up here, right there. And we'll make sure to line these up properly too. And I'll show you how to do it. The way you would do is you would select every single one of them. And then there's a hamburger menu right here. Align and distribute. And then go distribute horizontally, and it will distribute them technically horizontally. I didn't do a very good job right there. I'm not sure what happened there, but this is particularly helpful for kind of lining up your things. Once you've added in those, you're going to want to add in your labels. So I'm definitely going to want to type in legend, and I'll have it be in all caps, particularly. So it'll be kind of big, and it's kind of, as you would expect a title to kind of be. So we'll make it legend like this, make it big and bold. That looks good. And then when it comes to the smaller pieces, I'll use a smaller text. So for instance, village. And the reason why is because it probably won't even fit. So we'll type in village, town, city, and capital. Now you can have as many POIs as you want. You don't have to stop at those 4. You could make ruins, you could make towers, shrines, all of those things work quite well. All right, what I want to do is I want to set this up to where everything's kind of lined up. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take that text. And because I keep accidentally kind of selecting it, which is getting kind of annoying. I can just go ahead and just go text only. And now I can kind of take this text right here, line it up like that. There we go. And now I have this kind of easygoing kind of legend kind of set up. Why don't we add like maybe a dashed or some kind of dashed line underneath of it? Okay. There we go. All right. Oh, is someone correcting my my spelling and grammar? I'm not surprised there. I am notoriously bad at that. Okay. Yeah, I can change it. I don't mind changing it to an A or an L. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm kind of good with either or. Let's see here. I think that looks good. Yeah. Okay. So now it makes it rather clear that each kind of location is there. The legend is in that nice corner there. I might move it a little bit away from the edges of the map because I want to use I maybe want to use a filter frame, and so I don't want the legend to get cut off a little bit. So I don't want to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and move these texts so that I got some room here. We'll move Drekmir over here, move this one over to here. Okay, I'm going to make some space in this corner because I'm going to make what's called a cartouche. A cartouche is like a title plate. It generally includes things like the title. It includes the scale. It might include the cartographer's name or autograph. And it might have some other information as well. If you don't have enough room for it, then you don't have to go into a detailed cartouche. You could just simply have some text and then place it in a corner that's not overlapping too much of your land masses. But you can also make kind of a detailed one if you like as well. That's not complex. For instance, we could use like one of these very kind of simple banners right here, like this. We can change that up. We can change some of the settings a little bit with it. Like I think this is about a little bit better size right there. And I think this orientation works well as well. So it will kind of take up a little bit more space in this corner here. That looks good. And we want to come up with like a name of the place. I'm not sure what to call it, but I'll go ahead and place some text down real quick. Let's go ahead and use this text right here just so that we have continuity in our text. And I don't know what to call it. I'll just come up with a weird name, Velmathara or something. Okay, there we go. And because it is the title, maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. Cool little trick. We could have the capital letter be much larger, like the V, like this. We could do that, like put a big V here. We could even use like maybe a decorative font of some kind to make it more interesting. Let me take a look here. Let's try this one right here. Yeah, that looks good. Let's use this. There we go. Capital V, and then I'll put a little E right there, Velmathara. You know, they're maybe a little too big. Let's do this. We'll bring the scale down a little bit. We'll put it like that, and then we'll also put a black line just right underneath like that. There we go. Velmathara, I think that looks good. Yep, that looks good. Nice little title plate there. I'm not going to worry about putting in a scale or anything like that, though you totally could. That's up to you. I might want to add maybe just a couple more fun little details to it just to make it more interesting. It's a lot of cool ways to do it. Let's see here. I might want to consider using like oh, you know what might be cool? Maybe using just a splash of color might work. I thought I saw some like, these right here. I kind of like this. Maybe red would work better. Let me take a step back and look which one is red or blue. I could put like a little shield in the corner just to add a little bit, just to balance it out. You'll notice that the weight is heavily on the left side with this giant capital V right here. By putting this little shield right here on the corner, it should balance it out. So now that you have a little bit of weight on both sides, balancing it out, and it should break up. It should break up the shape of this by putting this and overlapping it right in the corner. So now we have this very nice, kind of simple cartouche just right there that we can kind of work with. So we have those things. Let's go ahead and add some filters. So we'll do that next. What I'll do is we'll go right in here to filter tool. We're going to add that up. And there are a couple things that I recommend that you use. For starters, we should go to texture filters. If you just click the plus button, like this, what it will do is it will go ahead and have no filter whatsoever, but you should be able to open the catalog. There should be a series of filters that you can work with. The first one that I recommend is old paper. That one works well. Actually, in fact, what we'll do is we'll click Inkarnate tag, the Inkarnate button right here, and it should pick up every filter from every single style. And what we'll do here is we'll use this one instead, this leather type of texture. I think this will work really well. And what we'll do is we'll switch it over to the overlay blend mode. And let's go ahead and bring the opacity up, and you're going to see some nice, really nice artifacts start to apply to the map. See how you have these really nice, like leather, like scratches, some artifacts on the map. And it did a lot of extra work it did all the work for you, right? You didn't have to paint in all these extra textures and artifacts. You just use a simple filter to do that. Let's also maybe use a filter frame of some kind. I kind of like the folded paper ones. Like this one right here is really nice, this tattered 4x3. It might get in the way of some things, like it might get in the way of this, but let me take a look at it here. I think that looks good. Let's go with 100% opacity for this. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, why don't we keep that? I kind of like that overall design. It kind of has that, remember it's parchment. I want maybe this folded paper. I just want to make sure that the folds are not cutting off some important points of interest. For instance, this one right here. Let me go ahead and push this all the way up to 100%. It's got to move the dial. It's a little slow here. Come on, you can make it go all the way up. You can do it. It just does not want to go on the slider bar there. Okay, we're going to have to manually type it in by hand. Let's do that. Let's go with 100. There we go. That looks good. Okay, let me just take a step back at it and just kind of see how it looks, making sure that nothing's getting cut off too much. Like this right here is getting cut off just a little bit. So you might want to consider maybe moving it this way, like that. And that way the A isn't cut off. That looks good. Let me take a step over here. Nothing on the legend seems to be getting cut off, so that looks good. Over here, nothing good. Over here, the only thing that I'm not happy with is that it kind of covers this tree right here. I'm not 100% satisfied with that, but I think it's okay. But at least it adds a nice kind of effect to it. The other things you might want to consider is adding a color filter. So if I go add new filter and then go to color, go to plus sign, and there's a whole bunch of filters that you can use here. We could just go through all of them and just kind of see what they look like. Like a saturation makes it kind of pop out more. Faded should like make it a little bit more faded. I kind of like that. That kind of looks okay. I would maybe drop the opacity down on that a little bit. Let's bring it down all the way to 0 just to kind of see where it's at. And then I'll take a step back and then we'll bring it up a little bit more. Yeah, faded, I think looks okay. Let's go back to 100%. We'll go through the other filters. Let's go with sharpness. All that's doing is just making the artifacts pop out a bit more. There's always sepia. This is going to remove a lot of your color, but you could always just drop the opacity a little bit, and then you'll be able to keep the color while also adding this kind of yellow, kind of sepia feel to it, which I think always looks kind of nice, kind of fits over the overall theme. There's also a grayscale if you want to print it. If you are going to do the grayscale, I would recommend using a different filter for this. Just my opinion. Same thing with black and white. There's better filters for that. But there's also things like adding some color, like maybe you want a bluish feel, maybe you want a reddish kind of feel to it. So there's all these different colors. You can also use like this really, really rich parchment red color, or cold and warm if you want to go with cold and warm colors. So that is just an aesthetic choice that you need to make. I personally kind of find that the sepia is kind of nice. Personally, I think that works really well. So I'll go back to sepia here. I think that looks kind of nice. Let's go ahead and bring the opacity down. I don't want to completely remove the color, but I do want to add just a little bit of yellow over it. Let me just take a step. Get a little bit closer and I can take a look at it. Yeah, that does work. I think overall that looks nice. I just want to make sure. Let's maybe bring the leather down just a hair. Some of the artifacts are just really, really strong. I think that looks better. That looks good. Looks good. Okay. It's good. Where are we at for time here? 54? Cool. We're almost done. Let's go ahead and add just a couple more texture filters because I feel like there could be a couple more things that make this pop out a little bit more. For instance, we could use this paper tear right here. This is going to add some nice white artifacts to the map, which I think should look kind of nice. 1 second. I'm going to go up to a full 100%. We can kind of look at it. And then I'll zoom in and you can take a look at what I mean. There is these kind of white, see that kind of white effects right there? That actually goes quite nice. If you guys want to label the capitals, be my guest. I do have some ideas, but I will make this map clonable so you can also just label it yourself. But I think that white paper tear kind of fits well with the theme. Remember, it is a parchment map. It's a scroll. You're probably going to roll it up and it's going to have these folds. It's going to have some paper tears. It's being used. So all that stuff works just fine. Make disappear to black, then showing them stark white. You know, I don't know if there is a way to do that out. We could go through the filters and kind of just see what our options are. Let's go ahead and just show all the names. We can kind of take a look at it. I'm not so sure. You could try it. Let's go with maybe changing the blend mode. I don't think it's going to work. Like you could try like maybe darken, but I don't think it's going to pop up at all. Yeah, it didn't pop up at all. Maybe multiply. White. One thing you're going to notice about white and black with blend modes is they do not work very well. Because they are at neutral color, they do not interact with blend modes at all. So if this paper filter or paper tear had been like blue or pink or something like that, it probably would have worked better with a blend mode, but it doesn't. There is options that you can do though to probably add that. I'm trying to think. There is this. I'm gonna take a look. There might be a filter that you could use to add that. I'm not 100% sure. Dark tattered could work. Absolutely. It's kind of hard to tell. I personally don't mind the white. Like I know you might like black first, but I personally don't mind the white because I think that works the best. I think it just kind of adds a nice effect to it. But if you wanted to do black, you probably could use a texture and then use a blend mode. Let's try that real quick, just to kind of go over that. So my recommendation would be shape tool, turn merge off, turn stroke color off, and we're going to go into fill, and we're going to choose a clipping mask. And what I would recommend doing is maybe picking a filter that has like dirt or something like that, like maybe dirt right here like this. Maybe there'll be an alpha or an overlay texture that we can use for that. Like this is dark. Let me go to, what's this one right here? This one's from Watercolor Battle Maps right here. Let me apply this real quick and just kind of see what this looks like. Oh, oopsie. Oh, it should be, my bad. That's not an alpha texture at all. Okay. What's this one? Dirt. This one right here might work. It says dirt right here. Let's try this one. We'll go over it like this. Oop, there we go. Oop, I see that it is at the wrong scale, so let's maybe fix that. There's that. And then let's also maybe change the blend mode to maybe overlay. Okay, let's maybe bring the opacity all the way up. Let me take a look at it. I can't even see it at overlay. Let's try darken. Okay, and then let's maybe bring the opacity down a little bit. There you go. I think that's the way to do it. And if it's too much, you can always erase it with the shape, with the subtract mode. So this dirt texture right here, let me go look this up so you can kind of see it. I want to make sure that you can find it. 1 second, let this open up into the catalog here. A little slow to load here. Acting very, very slow. Here we go. What's it called again? 1 second, I'll look it up. It's called Dirt, and it's in the sci-fi battle map style. Use that, and then maybe a darken or multiply blend mode. You'll probably have to drop the opacity a little bit. So if you do want darker tears instead of the white ones, I'd recommend using a shape tool. And this, by the way, this is a cool trick that you can do with a lot. Like if you feel the filters are lacking, you can always take the shape tool, a fill of any texture of your choice, and change the blend modes, and you can get some really, really interesting effects. It's something that you want to take the time to explore and look at. For right now, there isn't a mobile app for the device that I know of. There probably won't be an app that doesn't really fit into our model of, regularly adding art. We would have to update the app, constantly rewrite and do this stuff. So it always makes more sense to kind of have an online tool so that way we can constantly make updates with more art and features more easily and readily available. But that is a good question. I do like that. And if you do want to request a phone app or a mobile app, I totally recommend you go to Arcani. Okay, first time chatter? Sorry that I couldn't be more helpful with that question, by the way. Okay, well, I think that's it. We've kind of done most of it. I'm not going to worry about labeling the capitals. Just come up with some off screen, or you can come up with them. But I think overall this turned out fairly well. There are some things that we could do to make it a little bit better. For instance, we could change some color adjustments. And the color adjustments are like really helpful. Like if you feel like the effects from those artifacts of that shape is a little too much, you can always like bump the brightness up a little bit to make it a little bit brighter. You could always bump the contrast up or down. Like if I bump the contrast up, it's going to cause the lines in the darker parts to get darker. If I bring the contrast down, a lot of that line work is going to get faded out. So if you want this more faded parchment effect, you can do that by playing with the contrast. You can even change the hue. If you want to have a strange, bizarro world, you can always change the hue. So maybe I want it to have it be green because it's maybe some undead world, or maybe I want to add in some purple or whatever the color might be. So you can always use those hues to change up the map. So if you want to have a different variation of the map, maybe your players triggered some catastrophic event and now the world has changed. And so you're going to change the hue settings to make it look like it's this undead, crazy, cursed world or whatever it might be. So always remember to try to use color adjustment filters to add in that final bit of polish or to make changes that you want, okay? All right, well, I think I'm going to bump the contrast back up just a little bit. I don't want it to be completely gone, so I do want to have some line work, but I will bring it down just a little bit. And then I will save this, and we'll call it good. And then what I will do is I'll make sure to add the link to this map in the video description when we add the video to YouTube. It didn't take as long as I thought it would, so I'm kind of happy about that. Some quick announcements next week. Besides our usual Wednesday masterclass and our Friday regular streams for regular users, we will be doing a world map workshop. So that means if you are currently working on a world map and you need help from myself or the team, I know a couple of team members have already said that they will be joining in, which I'm very thankful for. It's always great when the other team members make an appearance. So expect myself and a couple others there. Bring your world maps. We'll go over them. Ask questions. Please leave any questions about accounts, AI stuff, or whatever. Leave all that for the chat. Leave that for the Discord server. Don't worry about bringing that stuff up. This is going to be specifically for world maps. And if you do have any questions about any of that stuff, you can always reach out via a DM, or you can reach out to other team members or Ingmar or whoever that might be. So if you do have those questions, leave those for support or for the team. Let's focus this workshop next week on specifically world maps. So bring yours. I'll bring mine. I'm working on one. So if people feel shy and they don't want to share theirs, I'll work on mine so that people can kind of have something that they can watch and kind of figure out. So that's going to be happening next week. Really looking forward to that, and we'll do more of those throughout moving forward, some more workshops. And like I said too, we'll also be doing interviews and stuff like that. So I'll be reaching out to some of you. If some of you have a YouTube channel, that's great. Then I can go ahead and kind of direct people to your channel and your content. So expect maybe a DM from me, from some of you in the very near future. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you found this useful. I personally really liked the map. I think it turned out a little better than I thought. As always, I can't stand any of my maps three quarters through. So it turned out better than I expected. All right. Well, you all are amazing. Thank you so much for watching it all the way through. I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy and merry map making. Goodbye, everyone. Please take care.